Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and while you're at it, click the bell to be notified of future videos. This is Patchwork Star. It's 12-inch finished. And here is the diagram. We have half square triangles, quarter square triangles, and little squares. And this block is a 9-patch block. It's a grid that's 3 across and 3 down. Here are 4 blocks set block to block. Patch A is a 4-inch finished half square triangle. We cut 4 7/8 inch squares, cut them in half once diagonally. We'll need 2 patches for each of the accent fabrics, and there are 4 accent fabrics, and 4 patches for the background. All of the AccuQuilt dies you can use for this block are listed right down here. Patch B is a 4-inch finished quarter square triangle. We cut 5 1/4 inch squares, cut them in half twice diagonally, and you'll get 4 patches. We need 1 patch of each accent fabric and 4 patches of the background. Patch C is a 2-inch finished half square triangle. We cut 2 7/8 inch squares, cut them in half once on the diagonal for 2 patches. We need 1 patch of each of the accent fabrics. Patch D is a 1 3/8 inch finished square. I'll have to correct this for your copy. We cut a square that is 1 7/8 inches. And we need 1 patch of each of the accent fabrics. For this block, I'm going to do something a little bit different. Here are my patches. This is patch A, patch B, C, and D. And I'm looking at the diagram, and I'm going to start in the center and just lay out all the pieces so you can see where they go. And this block is important that you follow the colors, because the color position is important. So I'm just looking at the block and putting these down. So this is the center square, and it's a 4-patch unit. And this is actually a square on point now. Next, we're going to put the A patches down. Now the A patches, we have 2 of each accent fabric. So I'll take 1 of each for now, and they'll go like this. And we take the B patches and we'll fill in these areas here. And then the background B patches. Okay, you can sort of see the 9-patch unit. The block is a 9-patch unit. So we'll have 3 going across and 3 going down. Here we see part of them. Now we'll take our A patches that go in the corner units. And now we have our block laid out. I thought this would be easier for you to understand the patches as we use them. So now you can clearly see that this is a half square triangle unit, this is a split quarter square triangle unit, and this is another half square triangle, and then so on. So you see there's 3 across and 3 down, which makes this a 9-patch block. So now to sew this, I would start in the center, and I would start sewing this together, this little 4-patch in the center. I'm going to sew it together. You sew these 2 together and these 2, press the seams, and then sew the 2 rows together. I've transferred all my pieces to my prop-it board so I can take it to my machine. I forgot to do that before. The 4 patches finished, and now we're going to sew these triangles to each side of the 4 patch, and this 4 patch is a square, and this is a square on point. So if you're not familiar with how to sew a square on point, stay tuned for a short tutorial that will show you how. You have your 4 half square triangles that go on the corners and your large square in the center that's set on point. I like to start by piecing opposite sides first. And what I do is flip this over, center the square on the triangle, matching these edges, the long edge of the triangle and one side of the square. You want to see if these triangles over here on the right and here on the left are roughly the same size. You just kind of eyeball it. So there, I'm going to go with that. Stitch 1/4 inch from this edge, a 1/4 inch seam allowance all the way down. Do this side as well. Press your seams open, and if you look, these edges extend here, and what I'm going to do now is just trim these off straight in line with the side of the square. Put your half square triangle down with the right side facing up, and then place this in the center, and then check the size of your triangles overhanging here. And what you're going to do here, you will start stitching right here in this V section where this point meets. And this should be a 1/4 inch from here to the edge of this fabric. Start here, stitch a 1/4 inch all the way to this side, and you should come out here at the same part on this side. And do that on both sides. And here's what the stitching looks like. And now you're going to press your seams open. And here's the finished unit. Now just trim off these little nubs on the sides. And your unit's finished. At some point when you finish your square on point unit, you'll have to sew something else to it. And you want to keep these points nice and sharp. And sometimes you might be matching it to a seam line or a plain piece of fabric or maybe another point. And I'm going to show you how to keep these points nice. If you've pressed your seam open, you will see where these 3 fabrics intersect and form a point right here. That's your point on the back, and it's also your point on the front. So you can stitch with this part on top, and you'll be able to make sure that your point stays there. I take a pin and put it right there at the point, and then pick it up on this back side. And in this case, I'm going to come down about a 1/4 inch and then put that right in the seam line. That way the point will end up right on the seam line. Put your fabric pieces together and line up the top edges or the edges that you need to line up. And make sure your pin is perpendicular, goes straight down into the fabric, like that. If you're at an angle like this, your points won't match. So make sure they're straight, perpendicular to the fabric, and then put it into the fabric. When you start sewing, line up these edges here. Start at your 1/4 inch and sew all the way down, and you're going to aim for this point where that pin goes into the fabric, and you'll know that you're matching the point and the seam line on the back. And straighten your bottom edge again and continue stitching a 1/4 inch off. And here's what the stitching looks like if you can barely see it on here with this thread. It goes right across here, leaving the point open. You're not stitching over the point. And then if I flip it over, you'll see it's not exactly a 1/4 inch there, but that doesn't matter because what you want is the point to match the seam allowance here. Now just press the seam open and you're finished. Now the square on point is finished, and you have to constantly check the position of these colors because if you get it wrong, it just won't look right. Next, you can either do the half square triangles on the corners, or you can do the split 1/4 square triangles. I think next I will do the split 1/4 square triangles. You start with the smaller triangles, flip this over, match all 3 sides, stitch a 1/4 inch and press the seams open. Then once you do that, you will flip it over like this, match all 3 sides, stitch this seam, and press it open. And I'm going to do that for all 4 of these split quarter square triangles. Now the last unit we have are the half square triangles in the corners. I'll go ahead and stitch those. You just flip these over, match all 3 sides, and sew 1/4 inch, press the seams open. Now all of our individual units are done. We have 9 units. This is a 9 patch block, and it's a 3 by 3 grid. We'll just sew the units at the top together, the middle and the bottom, press the seams, then sew the rows together. Something else I wanted to add, I forgot. As I said several times in the video, this is a 9 patch block. It's a 3 by 3 grid. And if this is a 12-inch block, which it is, that means every unit in each grid space needs to finish at 4 inches, because 4 times 3 is 12. So the half square triangle needs to finish at 4, the split quarter square triangle finish at 4, and the square on point in the center needs to finish at 4. So that helps you when you're trying to measure as you complete your units. You want to measure them and make sure they're the correct size before you go any further. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and while you're at it, click the bell to be notified of future videos.